Look, listen, coming up the street, red line, busting pistons, be roaring loud like a fire in the kitchen. COVID-19 got me 6 feet distance. We been yelling back up, nigga, what's the difference? One West, in order to be honorably mentioned. See it in my eyes, I'm compromised in my visage, I'm vicious. Brainwashed out like the dishes, taking out the mafia and the 3 6s. Number of a man and the sons of perdition. Time to pay the piper for the Spanish Inquisition. 100 years of lynching, sinners of detention. Fields full of cotton, these cracks they had us picking. All in the name of a nation claiming Christian. The Lord has an army and the generals enlisted. If you can't read the times of what you lack is intuition, bones still drop in the valley of decisions. This is not a private interpretation. They lying, they perpetrate, we die in regurgitation. Declining our reparations and swiping our education. They cry about escalations and cry while you're hesitating to climb. This federation, the swamp by their bodies in 69 for coincidence, it's designed. We've been acting like Vintage, why we invasive to get a sponsor for Hennessy with us, not fuck with us, and you get a prime self-defensive, the shop of time rate, answer to with a sign, but the chances on the decline. The Meridian looking prime, take that energy cross the line. If our enemy wanna shine, we got boots that can form a line. My nigga, if this ain't a vibe, you been drinking Coke 45. Malt liquor, damn it, I'm a coke leader. I don't smoke weed or sell coke either. Grab him by the soul reaver, I just need a dope reader. Call me NBA young boy, I never be broke either. I don't sell crack or snort coke either. Damn it, I'm a coke leader. Choke till they croak cause they spoke. Look the cop crow Peter, no keeper. Stand tall as a cedar. AC for this heater. My demeanor, load of tweeters out your speakers. Thank God I'm not a strain from the womb like your boy Joe Biden said. Caucasians do as well as all of you crispy, the crash, the crunch, the boom from the masses to Calabasas. That's up the move, busting through the barrier. Reach clear the area, dog not a terrier. Jawbone carrier, cover Mississippi. One West barrier, concealed but I carrier. Shield on malaria, sicker than a bitch and hung carrier. Don't let the signs of the time bury ya. Motherfucker stereo, tough military. Climb above the chariot. The delegate from Judah is the ruler of the future, not as scary as the truth is a bad bitch. Of course a nigga married it. King David buffing up the letterman. Apollo and these garrisons. I.S.U.P.K, we build betterment. Seasoning the righteous acts over when it's evidence. The evidence of my people to not resist the evil cause it's legal. Like why you playing the role like he ain't evil. On cerebral before you end up with the palsy. Where the padded walls be. Least in the kingdom mad salty. Any option is metal, our presser is a devil. All the pocket, but it's Lego, so I'm loading up the treasure chest, taking out the mouth, cause y'all got a pepper breath.
Shalom, Israel. Salakia. We're just having a couple technical difficulties, but we're about to get started. All right. Shalom, shalom. To all the brothers, shalom, Yahweh Shem Shabrak, and to all the sisters, shalom, Yahweh Shema Thumb Bashim Yashai, Priest and Officer 50 under Commanding General YAHANNA. And we are the I.S.U.P.K, which was started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. All right. The I.S.U.P.K, we are not affiliated with any other Hebrew Israelite group, nor any Christian organization. All right. The I.S.U.P.K, we've been teaching the truth of the Bible since 1969, letting Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans know that they are the real Israelites the Bible speaks of, and they need to return back to the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. All right. Hey, shalom, Ak, shalom, Officer Yerad, Yahweh Shem Shabrak.
Shalom, Yahweh Shem Shabrak.
Is everything to Wab Warrior?
Everything to Wab,
Khan. Tonight's class, scripture breakdown class, we're going to be going over judgment. We're going to be going over judgment, reincarnation, regeneration, right? The I.S.U.P.K, we call it regeneration. The world knows it as reincarnation. It's one and the same. All right, we're going over the judgments of the Most High. All right, we're going to go through different precepts. Tonight is Saturday night scripture breakdown class. If you're in Canada, this is a mandatory class starting at 8 p.m. till 10 p.m. every Saturday. Make sure you tune in, sign in. All right, we got the sign-in links posted in the chat. All right, make sure you sign in. Make sure you sign in and sign out when the time comes. All right, we're gonna jump into let's jump right into some scripture. Salakia Officer Yerad, can you grab Revelation 18 for me, Baba Kasha? Revelation 18, and we'll start at Salakia. Start Revelation 18 and verse 6. Or Revelation 18 and verse 5. Try to shut down that button. All right. Again, if you're watching, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Subscribe to No Cowards Canada YouTube page. All right. All right, let's get started. So we're gonna jump to Revelations 18. We're gonna start at we'll start at verse 5. This is Revelations 18 and verse 5, and it reads, start at verse 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, "Come out of her, my people." All right, this is a book of Revelations. This is John the Revelator letting Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans know that they need to come out of her, right? They need to stop committing spiritual fornication with this place. They need to stop committing spiritual fornication with this place called Babylon, all right, which we know as America. It's a place of confusion. It's a place which is spiritually known as Sodom and Gomorrah, spiritually Egypt, all right? This place is a place of confusion, and it's a place of bondage for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, all right? We've been living out some punishments that you read about in the book of Deuteronomy 28. All right, we were sold to the hands of our enemies. We've been living under our oppressors, living in oppression. All right, battling slavery. Right, fighting with all different oppression that comes at us that comes at us from these evil people that are over top of us. All right? We've been in slavery for now over 400 years. All right? Serving out our punishment for disobeying the Most High. All right? Going to read this again. It says, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people. Why does it say come out of her? Because if you're Black, Hispanic, and Native American and you want something better, all right, you want to see the condition of your people change, you need to stop acting the way that you act. You need to stop loving on the white man's gods. You need to stop loving Canada. You need to stop loving America, loving all the different cultures of this Western society. We got to come out of these things, all right? And it goes on to read, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. Right? If you're Black, Hispanic, or Native American, you got to understand that this place, Babylon, is going to be destroyed. The Most High, just as he judged us for being wicked, he judged Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans for being wicked and put us over in this captivity.
Right.
Just as we were judged, these evil people that are over us are going to be judged for all the evil they've done to us. They're going to be judged for buck breaking our men. They're going to be judged for what they did on those residential schools. They're going to be judged for the Hispanic brothers who they have locked in cages with tinfoil blankets on the borders. This place is going to be judged for all the evil that it does. Right? And Salakia, Officer Zabadia, did you want to take over? Or do you want me to continue in verse 6?
No, I was just going to... Are you finished with that precept?
Come on, sir.
Okay, shalom.
That's the other
Shalom, Yahweh Shem Yahshua Barakatah to all the brothers, Barakatah to all the brothers, Yahweh Shemai Alefan Ba'Shem Yahushai to all the sisters. This is I.S.U.P.K. Canada. Give a hand to that priest and prophet, Officer 50 Shaiwan, for holding down the class in my absence. Right, we're back. I was having a little bit of technical difficulties in the beginning, right? But we're back. We're going to talk about judgment from the Most High, right, and regeneration. Right, that's what we're going to talk about, because I've heard a few times where just Christians in the world, right, they'll say, I got to do this and this because I don't want to go to hell. And it perplexes me, because I'm like, well, damn, you live in a crack-infested neighborhood, or you live at the mercy of your oppressors. Would you not consider that living in hell? Right? Slovakia. Slovakia, yeah, I'm gonna take care of that right now. Looking for it. Okay, right, and so even before brother made a joke, we were cracking some jokes, and he said, well, when hell freezes over, right? And I said, well, you just gotta wait till December. And he was lost. He didn't understand what I was talking about, right? But the joke was basically like, Canada has winter, right? We get winter in December to around April, and Canada is hell, right? If you live in Canada and you live in the ghettos, you live in the barrios, or you live at Slovakia, you live on the native reservation, that's hell. Canada is hell for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, where you gotta basically wake up and go to your oppressors for everything, right? Slovakia. There's an election going on right now, right? You're not supposed to be voting in the elections. Before we get to that, Shariwan, can you get me Slovakia? I'm looking in Genesis for not to set a king over you. Let me see if I can find it myself. 1 second.
Salakia, the one that's in Deuteronomy.
I think it's Deuteronomy 17 and 15.
Come. It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 17 and verse 15. Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose.
Right. So hold that right there, right? There's an election going on in Canada, and if you're Black, Hispanics, and Native American, and they can convince you to vote, stop, halt, don't vote. You don't have to, right? Because this is not an election about leadership. This is an election about who's going to control the slaves in Canada, so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? Keep reading. Yeah,
Come.
read that one more time from the top, Baba Kasha.
Come. Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose.
Right. So the Lord thy God, your power, Yahweh in the Hebrew, he's going to choose a king for you, right? And he's already made that choice. Yahweh Shai is going to be the king of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? Not Justin Trudeau, not the PPC party or the NDP party. Read.
One from among thy brethren.
None of those parties are our brethren. They don't fit our struggle. They're not our people. Read.
Shalt thou set king over thee.
Right. You're supposed to choose your brother, right? If you want a leader, you're supposed to let the Lord choose your brother, right? That's who you're supposed to choose as your leader. Read.
Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee,
Read.
which is not thy brother.
Right. So you're not supposed to be voting in the up and coming federal election in Canada, right? You're not supposed to be choosing some oppressor to be over you. If you're Black, Hispanic, and Native American in Canada, you're living in hell where some oppressor is over you. They're going to spend millions of dollars on an election, right? During a pandemic, right? While Native American children are struggling to get clean water, while Native American children don't have proper schooling facilities, while Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans who are in the ghetto have to worry about Salaka Aki. I'm getting a little bit of a feedback. Can you mute Baba Kashar for a second? Right. If you live in the ghettos, you're worried about what are you gonna do for your rent, right? You're worried about how are you gonna provide food, right? And even if you don't live in the ghettos, say you have you've been able to maintain a actual home that's in your name, you still have a lot of worries as Blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, right? You got to make sure you contain you worry. You have to worry. Your daily worry is usually about how are you going to maintain this mortgage, right? When you're not supposed to be going to no oppressor to maintain a 50-year mortgage, a 20-year mortgage, where you're damn near getting high blood pressure just thinking about it, right? So that's part of the Lord's judgment, right? Because we didn't want to keep his laws, statutes, and commandments. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans in Canada, you're living in hell, right? So we're gonna go over regeneration because the things that we do in this lifetime, they echo on into we pass away, right? Our body goes into the earth, our spirit goes to the Most High, but we call it the fourth dimension, where the Most High dwells, right? And you're judged and brought back into this lifetime, right? So we're gonna go through some precepts of what it means to be regenerated and this life of if we don't keep the Most High's commandments, we're going to be judged in this life, right? When we keep the Most High's commandments, we're still going to be judged in this life. But you would rather a good report than a bad report, right? You don't want the angels to be. The angels are watching everything that we do. They're taking notes and they're going back and reporting it, right? Jacob's ladder, right? It was a vision of the angels coming up and down a ladder, right? And that's what the angels do. They go up and down, and they give a report on what you do in this time, right? Somebody bring me to Hebrews 9:27, Baba Kasha.
This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 9, and verse 7.
27, Baba Shah.
Come. Verse 27. And as it is appointed unto men once to die, but after this the judgment.
9 and 27. All right, you can start from the top, Baba Shah.
Come. This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 9, and verse 27. And as it is appointed unto men once to die.
Hold it right there. Right?
Salakia, other one, your mic is muted.
Can Akim hear me now?
Come, sir.
Okay, so we're back. Right? So man dies once. His body dies once. Like the literal flesh dies once. Your spirit lives forever. Right? So it's telling you something you already know. Like a man will pass away, you won't see him back in that body again. Right? But your spirit doesn't die. Right? It go again, what we were talking about earlier is you got to keep the Most High's commandments, right? Because if not, you're going to be judged. When you keep the Most High's commandments, you're going to be judged as well, right? Keep reading.
But after this, the judgment.
Right, the judgment, right? After this is a judgment. Israel, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you gotta wake up and realize that you've been judged for something, right? You're waking up in a terrible condition. You're waking up in a space. Your neighborhoods are damn near like war zones, especially if you're in the inner city. It's damn near a war zone, right? That is like you're not going to. You're gonna find out that waking up in these war zones, in these like, listen, there's some hoods in America that look like they like Iraq 10 times over, right? I remember Officer Bond. He this is a couple years ago. He sent a video of Philadelphia, a street in Philadelphia, and I was asking like, where is that? Like, why does it look like that? And he said that's just the average Black Hispanic neighborhood in Philadelphia, right? A place. It looked like nobody lived there, right? It looked like nobody took care of this place, right? You would think that there's wars going on, right? You go through certain neighborhoods in Toronto, you're gonna see homes with gunshots, holes in them from gunshots. You're gonna see several different memorials of young Black men who died, right? That's because we're living in hell, and there's a judgment that fell upon Israel because we didn't keep the laws, right? Salakia, Officer Uriah, can you bring me to Deuteronomy 28 and 50. Salakia. Let me find it. 28. Salakia. I'm just looking for it. Give me 1 second. I'm looking for the tender man. It's 28 and I think in the 30s.
Salakia, other one, verse 54.
54. Right, I was looking in the wrong place. Right, read 28 and 54, Brother Shaw.
Come. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 54. So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil towards his brother.
Right, hold that right there. And that's what's happening in every Black, Hispanic, and Native American neighborhood. Right, this is a curse. This is a judgment for Israel. Right, you're being born into these neighborhoods where there are damn near civil wars happening for generations, and it passes down to generations. Right, in neighborhoods where Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans don't love each other. They say they love each other, but there's no real love where you're gonna go and tell the person, the next brother, listen, you're not supposed to grudge your brother to the point where you want him murdered. You want to murder that man, right? And that growing up in these neighborhoods is a judgment from the Most High, right? Keep reading.
Okay. And toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave.
Right. So these are all punishments. Where men are, you're gonna have the disconnect between the household, between the man, the woman, and the child. Right. There's going to be a disconnect. The woman and the man and the woman are gonna hate each other so much that that man he ends up leaving his child. Right. Sometimes to get away from that woman, or it's a situation. It's not good for the family. Right. These are curses and judgments that we're gonna go through because in the life that we lived before, we weren't keeping the law. So now when we die early of high blood pressure or early of diabetes or early of a drug overdose and we're judged in the throne room, the Most High he's sending us back to a curse. Right? We got to go back through those curses, and that's our punishment. Right? Officer Sharyuan, get me Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 25.
Come. This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon. Slaki, you said there's no verse 25. So.
Did I say 25? Salakia, my bad. Verse
Okay.
2.5. Salakia, I said 2.5. That's how I wrote it down. Salakia. Chapter 2, verse 5. Salakia. I literally wrote down Wisdom of Solomon 2.5. Good night.
So Salakia. This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2 and verse 5. For our time is very shadow. Salakia. Verse 5. For our time is a very shadow that passeth away. And after our end, there is no returning.
Right. So what we're harping on at the moment is the body of a man dies. The body of any human being, it dies, right? And once that body's dead, there's no coming back for that body, right? Salakia. Right? And our time is definitely like a shadow, man. We're here and then we're gone, right? And that's why we have to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. Because listen, our time could be longer on this earth if we were to do the things we were supposed to do. Right? But right now, the average Salakia. Listen, for the 2000 babies, the average lifespan of a child born in 2000, a Black, Hispanic, or Native American child in the city of Toronto born in 2000, they're not making it past 25 right now, man. Right? Like, and that it hasn't even been 2025, and that's to let you know, right? They're not making it to 25, and it hasn't been 2025 yet. They're only 21. Some of them aren't making it to 18, right? And that's why we're supposed to have love for our brothers and sisters, right? Because the man, his body is gonna die, his spirit's gonna get judged, he's gonna have to come back, right? And what are you leaving for when you come back, right? Are you going to be born again into a family in the truth because you were in the truth before, or are you going to be born back into the ghetto, right? You died in the ghetto where they were selling crack, right? Where they were selling heroin to their own people, only to be born back in that same condition. Keep reading.
Come. For it is fast sealed, so that no man cometh again.
Right. Like no man's coming again, right? Meaning again, it's not the spirit, right? But the spirit is not called man, right? Man is that body. That body, he's not coming again. Like you're going to see there's so many brothers who passed away, right? And who knows if they've been regenerated again. But one thing for certain, the body that they passed away in is not coming back. It went into the ground, and from the dust it came is where the dust it went back, right? Meaning all the elements, the things that we eat, they eat the things of the earth. We die and we go back to the earth, right? The things like the earthworms start to eat us, right? Let's get Officer Shari, Officer Uriah, get me Job 7 and 9, Brother Shah.
Okay.
Right, and just for everybody watching, tonight, Command and General YAHANNA, Black Watch News, right, on YouTube. I'm not sure if it's on Facebook. We're going to be live at 9 p.m. You could also check out the website, blackwatch.news, for up and coming episodes or episodes that you've missed. All the things that YouTube doesn't really want to keep on air, you could check out blackwatch.news for it, right? Don't forget to check out ISUPK.com. We also got Instagram, I.S.U.P.K Canada, and I.S.U.P.K Canada on Facebook. What do we want? We wanted Job 7 and 9.
Okay. This is the book of Job, chapter 7, verse 9. As the cloud is consumed and vanish away, so he that goeth down to the grave shall come up no more.
Right. Like you see, like okay, that's perfect, right? Because it's like saying your body's like that cloud, right? You see one cloud go by you, you're not going to see that same cloud in that same shape the next day once it goes past. And that's kind of how life works, right? Especially for the body, for the flesh, right? Your flesh is here today, it's going to pass like that cloud. When it passes and it goes into the ground, it's not coming back up. Listen, you start to see flesh come back up, it's a zombie apocalypse. So
Right.
right? Nah, but seriously, the only time like you can see a Christ isn't here to raise up the dead, right? Meaning Christ can make a dead body come back to life, right? That's not gonna happen here in these times. Meaning once you die, your body's gone. You got to be judged for all the times you ate shrimp. You got to be judged for all the times you've lied, all the times you've stolen, all the murders you've committed, right? All the adultery, all the times you've worshipped the other gods instead of coming back to your culture, right? All the hate that you have in your heart for your brother, when you pass away, you're going to be judged for it, right? Was that the end of the verse?
Okay.
Right. So you're definitely going to be judged for all the times you pass away, and it's Salakia. It's a good thing to know that you live this life, and it's not just free, right? This is gonna make you have to love your brother. This is gonna make you have to love your nation. Now, you know now that you're gonna come back, right? Even when loved ones pass away, it's one thing to know that a loved one passed away. You have your time to mourn, right? You mourn that loved one, and then you get on with your life because eventually that loved one is gonna come back, right? They're gonna come back, and that they're going to be hopefully they come back and they're in the kingdom. That they don't have to go through this oppression again. But if it doesn't happen, listen, they're gonna whatever judgment they went through, they're gonna have to go through that judgment and come back into this world. What else we got? Was that the end of the verse?
Come on.
You can read verse 10.
Come on. Verse 10. He shall return no more to his house, neither shall his place know him anymore.
Right. He's not returning back to his family in that same body. He's going to, and neither will his place know him. Like his people, his land is not going to know him. He's not going to be returning back in that same body, right? And it's just like sometimes, Salakia. Sometimes you hear people say you have an old soul. You it's like you've lived, and you hear that of young people, right? You might hear someone speak on a child and say, listen, this child has an old soul. It's like he like the way he acts, the way he composes himself, or she composes herself, it's like they've been here before, right? Not knowing that child has probably been here before. Like they're just getting back, right? Officer Sharyuan, bring me to 2 Samuel 12 and 23.
Come. It's the book of 2 Samuel, chapter 12 and verse 23. But now he is dead. Wherefore should I fast? Can I bring him back again? I shall go to him, but he shall not return to me.
Right. You can't be brought back again, right? And that's the point we're really like we're feeling that we're Salakia, we're stressing on that point to show you that the body doesn't come back again, right? You could go to that grave site and pray that that body comes back out the ground and it's the same person, but it's not going to, right? You're not going to return to your loved ones once you pass in your same body, right? You're going to get a new body. You're going to get a new body, and you're going to go through whatever judgment for that body you of your past, right? Like there's an okay, it's a tradition in the I.S.U.P.K that when a loved one passes, we say may he rise again or may she rise again, right? And if they were in the truth, we basically say may like if they died of an ailment or passed away of an ailment, we say may he rise again in a stronger body, right? Because they passed, they went through this life, and they as their life ended, they were in the truth, right? They were doing the things they needed to do to please the Lord. So, and the way we even look at it is like, okay, they might have passed, but that was the Lord bringing them home so they could either come back in a stronger body now because they basically done the things the Lord wants them to do. Sharyuan?
Sir Salakia. if I could just add to what you're saying is so heavy in that the brotherhood and the I.S.U.P.K and the understanding that the men above us have, teaching us this truth of the Bible, it is definitely powerful in that when a loved one passed away, I remember just being new in the school, a bunch of brothers were showing me just good brotherhood, excellent brotherhood, you know what I mean, saying, may he rise again. And I remember the man above me, he sent me a message and just said, he will rise again.
Right.
Right after I had a bunch of brothers say, may he rise again. And it was just reassuring. You know what I mean? And it was like, just to know, Slacky, how would I put it? Just to be so sure and just to know without a shadow of a doubt that, like, when we die, we come back.
Right.
You understand? And that garbage that they teach in Christianity, that someone's going to burn for eternity because they did something wrong in this life, like we don't have to deal with that nonsense.
That's definitely heavy. Like, we don't have to deal with the nonsense of listen, I don't love the man that's whipping you with this. Salakia. I'm gonna bring it to modern times. If I don't love the oppressor police officer who's beating me in the head with his flashlight, right? Then I'm going to go to hell. That's not what that means, right? Like the Christian church is going to say, whoa, Christ said, love your enemies, right? That was Christ was talking to Israelites, right? He wasn't talking to every nation, right? The enemy of a black man is a black man. That's the time that we live in, where your enemy is your own people, right? Salakia. Right? It's the Christian church who's wanted us to love our oppressors, because the Christian church is made by oppressors. Right? They want you to love your oppressors, but what we gotta know is you got to love your brother. Right? Salakia. Someone bring me to Officer Urad. Let me get Ezekiel 18 and verse 4.
Okay. It's the book of Ezekiel, chapter 8.
18.
Select it. Chapter 18. Select it. Ezekiel 18, verse 12. It reads, had oppressed the poor and needy, had spoiled by violence, had not restored the pledge, and had lifted up his eyes to the idol.
Salakia. What verse are you reading?
18 and 12, sir.
18 and 4. Salakia.
18 and Salakia.
4.
4.
Yeah.
Okay. Ezekiel, Salakia, chapter 18 and verse 4. It reads, behold, all souls are mine, as the soul of the Father, so also the soul of the Son is mine. The soul that sinneth, it shall die.
Right. So this is letting you know that your soul belongs to the Most High. Right. Now, when you sin, you're not alive. You could be breathing and have air in your lungs, but when you sin, you're not alive. That soul dies, right? The Most High could destroy your soul in heaven and in hell. Right. Salakia. Officer Shariwan, can you get me that precept?
Come, sir.
Okay. Right. With the one where he says destroys the soul and the body in hell.
Come, sir.
right? We're gonna make this verse sense because it's letting you know the soul can die as well, right? Even though the soul leaves the body and goes up to the Most High, right? The souls belong to the Most High, so He can do with them what He wants. He could bring them back if He chooses to. He could destroy that soul forever if He chooses to. Whenever you got it, you can read it.
Come. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 10, and verse 28. And fear not him which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, but rather fear him which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell.
Right, right. So you're finding out the Most High, he'll destroy your soul and the body in hell, right? And this definitely goes towards what we're talking about regeneration, because most Christians in the world, they believe hell is a place where you go to after you die. But listen, if you go to Parliament in Dundas, that is hell, right? You go to Salakia. What's another neighborhood? Someone give me another bad neighborhood in Toronto, right? Salakia. If I'm thinking one off the, go to anywhere in Rexdale and John Garland, right? That's hell, right? A place where children have to run from shots being fired. That is hell for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? You could drop that. What do we got? Salakia, you can continue.
Slaki, I wanted to bring out a precept, if I may.
Come.
Just to add on to what you're saying, so Slaki, this is Ecclesiasticus chapter 12 and verse 2, and it says, do good to the godly man, and thou shalt find a recompense. And if not from him, yet from the Most High. Right? Meaning, we do good to the godly man. We do good to the people that fear the Most High. Right? There's a reward for it. There's a repayment from it. Right? If not from that brother or sister, but from the Most High. And I just bring that up to say that, like, not only are we judged for the evil that we do here, but we're also rewarded for doing good.
Right.
Like, this is a place where we live out our judgment. Slakia.
That's definitely heavy. It's a place where we live out our judgment, right? And there's times, we definitely get rewarded for doing good, right? We get rewarded for doing good, and listen, you're gonna be rewarded for all the bad things you've done, right? You don't want to be Shalakia. You know what? No, I'll save that for last. But you don't want to be born with a heart disease, right? You came into the world with a heart disease, and now with that heart disease, you have a chance to get it right. But listen, you got to get it right with that heart disease, right? And so you know what? We'll bring it right out right now. Officer Shadi One, can you get me the Lazarus precept?
Come,
right? Because the disciples knew from what they were taught from Christ, right? They knew that you're going to die and come back, right? Abraham knew this as well, right? Like we as Israelites, we knew that you would pass away and come back, but Christ came back to make everything more clear, right? And when I say that might throw you off because you're saying Christ came back, you don't understand. Christ was the first Adam, right? And we're gonna break it down for you in a second. Whenever you got it.
Con, sir. So like I said, I'm just seeing which verse to start out.
Con. And, again, Aki want to add anything, feel free.
Come, sir. Pause.
Come, sir.
While we wait, shout out to the chat. We got two sisters, Bayana, Salakia, Bayana. Shout out to Bayana and Janice Bell. The water for tuning in. Salakia.
Salakia, I got that precept ready.
Come.
This is the book of John, chapter 9 and verse 1. And Yahawashi passed by. He saw a man which was blind from his birth. Verse 2. And his disciples asked him, saying,
Wait. Let's slow down for a second, right? So there was a man, we need everybody paying attention right now. There was a man who was blind from birth. He was born blind, right? This, you got to pay attention to the key information they're giving out. He was born blind, right? Keep reading out.
Come. And his disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin?
Wait, so his disciples are going to ask him a question, right? This is letting you know the disciples knew that when you die, you're going to come back, right? Your body's going to die, but your spirit doesn't die unless the Most High wants you to die, right? Which we read earlier. Your spirit, your soul, it doesn't die unless the Most High wants to destroy it, right? You could get it again.
Come. And his disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?
Right. So now, right, they're asking him, did his parents sin? Why he was born blind? Right now, a parent can't Salakia. A parent can't pass his judgment like a father can't pass his judgment onto his son, right? But then now listen, here's the tricky part, right? And take away all the Christianity away from it, right? A great grandfather can be born again as his great grandson, right? Meaning, whatever the great grandfather did in his life, if he was sinning, when he's born again, he could be born in a body that had the judgment of a sinner, right? So let's read that again from the top.
Come. It's the book of John, chapter 9 and verse 1. And as Jesus passed by, he saw a man which was blind from his birth. And his disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?
Right. So if a man sinned in his past life, the Lord's judgment for him could have been that he was born blind, right? Now, here's another question, right? Which I kind of already gave it away. How could a baby sin? Right? That's the question you have to ask yourself when you read John 9 verse 2, right? Because they're basically asking, how did this man become blind? Is it because he sinned, right? When you read verse 1, it tells you the man was born blind. So now you have to ask yourself, how does a baby sin? How does it? Has anybody ever known a newborn baby to sin?
La, sir.
Right. You have to teach newborn babies everything. They can't even do anything. Sometimes they can't even open their eyes for days. Right? So how does a newborn baby sin? Right? So we'll leave that right there. Like you're gonna pass away, you're gonna be judged. You want to keep the law. You want to do good in all your works. You don't want a bad report, right? Like the bad report. Like listen, Christ told the woman to go and sin no more when she was accused of adultery and the Pharisees wanted to stone her, right? That's what's happening for you right now. You're being told not to sin anymore, right? Officer Shayuan read earlier to come out of her, right? I believe that's Revelation 18 and 4, right? Come another voice saying, come out of her, right? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you got to get away from the culture of our oppressors, right? You got to totally throw it away. Everything you've learned from the oppressors, just throw it away. It's time to learn how to be a person without sins, right? Officer Uriah, bring me the second Ezra's 14 and 34, Baba Kishah.
Oh God.
Hey, Shalom, Aki, how about Shemir Shabbat?
Shalom, Arwani, how about you? Shabbat. Shalom to the rest of Arwani, Malakim, Sign Christ.
No sign Christ, huh?
Second Ezra, chapter 14, verse 30, verse 34.
Salakia, one moment. All right, let's get it. What do we got? We wanted second Ezra 14 and 34.
God, second Ezra, chapter 14, verse 34. And reads, therefore, if so be that ye will subdue your own understanding and reform your hearts, ye shall be kept alive, and after death ye shall obtain mercy.
Salakia, what Officer Uriah, why would you obtain mercy after death?
Salakia, sir, if I could, right? You'll be able to obtain death because Salakia, you'll be able to obtain mercy by if Salakia, if when you reincarnate.
You will be given you're gonna be reincarnated, right? That's the regenerated. That's basically the topic. But how will you get mercy, right? It's in the verse that you just read.
Sir. It's by changing your ways, following the laws, statutes, and commandments, changing your thoughts, changing your ways, more or less.
Khan, you have to. I'll definitely take that, but what it says is you have to reform your heart, right? And that's how we're going to be kept alive, right? Us coming back to the Most High, reforming our hearts. The heart of man, good night. Listen, the heart of man is a terrible thing, right? Without these laws, statutes, and commandments, there's no love for a man. Has no love for his brother. Right, he's gonna say, listen, you see it every day. You see it every day. Two brothers in the world, they say ride or die. You're my nigga for life, right? I got a love for you. If it comes down to it, I'm gonna do what I gotta do for you. They slap some cuffs on that man. He starts telling on his brother, right? What it really is, you're not supposed to be committing any crime, right? Let's take it away from that. A man says, listen, you're my brother for life, and I love you. I got you in my heart, right? In the 90s, they would say I got you in my left titty, right? Meaning I got you in my heart, right? Man's heart is a terrible thing without these laws, statutes, and commandments, right? Because as soon as that other brother starts to make more money than him, there is no more love for that brother in his heart, right? We got to reform our hearts, right? And after death, that's how we're going to obtain mercy. right? But why do you get mercy after death, right? I thought the Christian church says you live by God and go to hell and go to heaven, or you don't live by God and you go to hell, right? If going to hell is like how the Christian church says, where it's fire and brimstone, where is the mercy in that, right? Is there any mercy in fire and brimstone, right? Read that last part again from Reform Your Hearts. Salakia, Officer Shariwan.
Salaki, if I may, I remember Salaki. I remember watching Captain Kaposh at Indiana. He did a debate with I think James White's son, and
Okay.
the Christian actually gone. Gone. So Salaki, so just on to what you're saying, he asked the Christian, so what happens to a child who's living on like a remote island in the Fijis, who has never heard of God, never heard of Christ? He's never said he believes in the name of Jesus. He was saying, does that child go and burn in eternity because he's never said he believes in Jesus? And that Christian had to say, yes, that Christian's going to burn in hell for eternity.
Good,
And
nice.
that's the madness of what Christianity teaches. So Salakia.
Hey, Salakia, you know what you said was so heavy, because as you said that, like, I'm listening and I'm analyzing what you're saying, right? That's how you got the Crusades. That's how you got evil missionaries going into native land and saying, listen, if we don't reform your child, they're going to burn in hell. Right? And with that said, like listen, there was a Christian who went to a remote island where there's some island full of heathens, right? They haven't really been conquered. They haven't. Salaki, I don't even. They're walking around like heathens do, naked, right? And this Christian, he tried. He's an Edomite. I'll add, right? He tried to go test his luck and test his. He shot him with the arrow on the beach. Salaki, I'm breaking up. Damn. Crazy.
Salaki, officers of body is just having some technical difficulties. But like the officer was bringing out, like that Christian went on some mission trips to some remote island, and if I'm not mistaken, he even wrote a letter before they killed him, before he lost his life, saying that it's worth it to die if I can get these people to believe in Christ. And this madman actually went out to this island, and when he got on the beach, these people started throwing spears at him. There was spears and bow and arrows or something like that, and they ended up killing the guy. Right? And his family could never get the body to return it. And again, this is just some of the madness of Christianity. Right? We understand when we go in the book of for example, something like Matthew 10 and 15, it says, go not in the way of the Gentile, right? And don't enter any city of the Samaritans. Enter ye not. Salaki, I'm just loosely paraphrasing, right? But Christ commissioned his disciples to go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. You understand? We're not supposed to be going to all these heathen nations trying to tell them about Christ and try to get them salvation. They don't need saving from anything. These other nations have their own country. They have their own language. They have their own currency, right? Their own textile mills, and they have their land to cultivate food and things like this. You understand? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we have nothing. You understand? There's a couple of us who have made wealth off of, you understand, singing and dancing for their oppressors. But the majority of us, Salakia, there's 80% of us in the Americas are living in poverty, are living under the poverty line. You understand? These other nations don't need saving. And again, this is just some of the madness of Christianity. You understand? Salakia, like I was saying before, Christians are out teaching that if you don't call on the name of Jesus, Jesus, you're going to burn in hell for eternity. You're going to go to some place where some ghosts are going to torment you for eternity. You understand? Because you didn't say that you believed in somebody's name. All right? And like Captain Kapash was bringing out, what about the 5-year-old child who's never done anything? Never had the opportunity to meet Jesus or call on the name of Jesus. And a Christian will tell you that 5-year-old child's going to burn in hell for eternity if they lose their life. You understand? That's a cruel God. You understand? That's a God who has no mercy. That's not a power I'd want to serve. And that's the power of the Christian church. All right? So Salakia, let's bring out a couple more precepts. Salakia, one moment. Salakia, Officer Yerad, do you know what verse was Officer Zabadia in last?
We left off 2nd Esdras, 14, and verse 34.
I'm back.
God, no sweat. Salakia, I'm going to pass the class back to Priest and Officer 500 Zabadia.
Come, we're holding it down. So we were in 2nd Ezra 14 and 34. Let's read 35.
Come, 2nd Ezra, the book of 2nd Ezra in the Apocrypha, chapter 14 and verse 35. And it reads, "For after death shall the judgment come."
Right, hold that right there. After death, judgment is coming. Like, listen, you're going to die. Right, we're hoping that we make it into the kingdom and that this body doesn't die. We're hoping we get to see the fruits of the labor that we did in this body, that we can make it onto the chariots in this body, right? But listen, if that doesn't happen, man, you're going to die. Your body's going to die, and then the judgment's going to come. What are you going to be judged on? Officer Yerad, what are you going to be judged on after death?
Lucky, sir. So after death, you shall be judged on lucky, basically according to your faith, or your works. You know what I mean?
Right. Give that officer a hand. Right. You're going to be judged on your works. What works did you do? Right. Salakia, Officer Shariwan, can you get me faith without works is dead?
Come, sir.
Right. Faith without works is dead. right? The Christian church, and this verse right here, it listen, if faith without work was a person, you would see the Christian church, right? Or if it was a group of people, you would see a bunch of pastors in front of every single member of the Christian church. Faith without works, right? They have faith in the Lord, meaning they say in Jesus' name. They do nothing else, right? They don't make sure their people are keeping the commandments. They teach the law is done away with, right? They don't listen. The high holy days is in the law. The whole chapter of Leviticus 23rd, right? Leviticus the 23rd, that is the law. Those are days that you're supposed to celebrate. We just had the Day of Atonement, Salakia. When was it? It was Wednesday night to Thursday night, right? Salakia. It was Wednesday night to Thursday night, right? That was something you were supposed to keep, right? Brothers and sisters, listen, you starved all day, right? And then you got with your brothers and sisters. I'm not gonna lie, like listen, I got with Trooper Squad. We made some I call them Hebrew burgers, man. Let's say we started making these burgers the first day of atonement we did, or technically it was my second, but it was the first day of atonement we did as brothers, and we did it again this year. Listen, those Hebrew burgers, those are the best burgers in the world, right? Because it's burgers that you worked for. And Salakia, we had to work to kindle that fire. Salakia, right? We put them on the grill and had to work to kindle that fire, right? Da, 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 da. Officer, Trooper Saquad, pick up where Officer Urad left off.
Hey, shalom, sir. Salakia, I'm here, sir.
Time.
Second Ezra.
Left off?
Come, sir. Second Ezra, chapter 14 and verse 15. Salakia. Salakia. Second Ezra, chapter 14 and verse 35. When we shall live again, and then shall
Wait. Say that again. When we shall what?
When we shall live again.
Right. So after death, for after death shall judgment come when we shall live again. Wait. So now I know every Christian is trying to figure out what does this mean, right? And the Christians are going to tell you this is talking about heaven. Listen, it doesn't say heaven. Read that one more time.
Come. For after death shall the judgment come when we shall live again, and then shall the names of the righteous be manifest.
Right. The names of the righteous are going to manifest, right? The names of the righteous, right? Meaning you kept the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. Read.
And the works of the ungodly shall be declared.
There's that word again, the works, right? Officer Shayuan, did you read that precept already?
La, sir, I'm holding it for you.
Right. You could. I was thinking about that. You can read it right now, right? Because we're talking about works. Read it whenever you got it up.
Come, sir. This is the book of James, chapter 2 and verse 20. But wilt thou know, O vain man, that faith without works is dead?
Right. So faith without works is dead, right? Officer, you're on. Read that part that you just read again, and the works.
And the works of the ungodly shall be declared.
Right. So if you're godly, you have good works, right? If you're ungodly, you have works that listen, the Most High is gonna put you to death for. right? The Most High he's gonna put you to death for those ungodly works. Then he's gonna bring you back, and you're gonna face judgment in this lifetime, right? Let's do some. Man, again, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you live in hell. You got to worry about, is this police officer gonna kill me? Right? You got to run the water for 15 minutes before you can even drink it or boil it. What do we got next? Was that the end of the verse? So okay, yeah, that was the end of the precept. Officer Shaywan, was that all you had for that precept?
Come on, concert.
Salakia. If the Akim have anything else they want to add, jump in. Where we going next? Somebody bring me to Second Maccabees 7 and 23.
Come. It's the book of Second Maccabees. It's the book of Second Maccabees. Come, sir. The book of Second Maccabees, chapter 7 and verse 23. But doubtless the creator of the world, who formed the generation of man, and found out the beginning of all things, will also of his own mercy give you breath.
Right.
And
So
life again.
Hold that right there. The Creator, he knows the beginning of all things. He formed every single man in all their generations, right? He's gonna show who he wants to show mercy, and he's gonna listen. If he doesn't show you mercy, man, you gotta figure that out, right? Salakia. And the way to figure out how to get the Most High's mercy is you gotta come back to your culture. You gotta start to keep his laws, statutes, and commandments. And not every place is gonna teach you that. Right. Keep reading.
And life again.
And what again? You're going to get what again?
And life again.
So the Most High is going to give you breath and give you what? What? Salakia, I didn't hear what you said.
And life again.
So you're going to get life again, right? Now you're finding out. Like, listen, the Most High having mercy on you, he's going to judge you. You're going to get life again, right? Keep reading.
As you now regard not your own selves for the law's sake.
Right. Like, who cares about what you want? You got to do the Father's will, right? Like, listen, if I had it my way, listen, I'd be on a beach somewhere right now in Tahiti, like sipping whatever is going to burn my chest, right? But it's not my way. Who gives a damn about what I want? I do what the Most High wants, right? So that means I have to get on. I have to wake up and teach my people, right? I have to show love to my brothers, right? I have to show love to my brothers that listen, I don't even know this brother from nowhere, but I show him love, and now he's an officer of 50 Sharyuan, and now he's an officer of 50 Urad, right? A man who didn't know me showed me so much love, and I say Khan out of one content, right? And that's just what it is. Read that one more time, Baba Kusha.
Come. Verse 23. But doubtless the creator of the world, who formed the generation of man, and found out the beginning of all things, will also of his own mercy give you breath and life again. as you now regard not your own selves for his law's sake.
Right? Like, listen, you're going to get life again, right? And that's regeneration. Yeah. Right? Can I get wisdom? Did we do this already? Let me get wisdom of Solomon 8 and verse 19. Officer Urad, get wisdom of Solomon 8 and 19. Uh, yeah, we're good with that one for now.
Khan. It's the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 8 and verse 19.
And Salakia, even before we get to there, what Officer Shayuan read, like it might have went over your head, right? But you're gonna get life again, right? And now listen, you're still here in this body. You're given a chance right now in this body to get it right. A chance right now to get life, right? By clicking this link, you're finding out. Listen, you click the link, and you can see some crazy brothers on the street. They looked crazy. They weren't wearing Jordans, right? They were wearing boots. They had their pants tucked into their socks and fringes on the side of their pants, right? Or they were in garments, with, and you're like, these niggas look weird. Something made you stop. Something made you listen. Something made you go to their YouTube page, and now you're listening. Now you're given a second chance at life, right? A chance to get it right, right? And that's what's most important. Like the Most High, listen, you're gonna be judged after you die and given life again, or you new life that you're getting. Forget about the old life that you had. This is a new life right now. A chance to change your spirit, change who you are, fight your flesh, right? A chance to actually experience love, something you've never had in your life, right? You've never had real love in your life, right? And now you're getting a chance to experience it, a chance to be like, well, damn, I didn't know that Black people, Hispanic people, Native American people can love each other so much, right? What were we reading next? Wisdom of Solomon. You can read Wisdom of Solomon.
Khan. Wisdom of Solomon in the Apocrypha, chapter 8 and verse 18.
19.
Salakia, 19, verse 19. Khan. For I was a witty child and had a good spirit.
Read verse 8, verse 20.
Khan. Verse 20. Yea, rather, being good, I came into a body undefiled.
Right, right. That's so heavy because listen, just like we read earlier, right? When the disciples were asking, was this man born blind because of not keeping the law, right? Because he did some sin, right? Now we're reading in this verse, rather being good, I came into a body undefiled, right? Meaning, like, listen, you keep the Lord's statutes and the Lord's law, statutes, and commandments, you're going to be in a new body that is undefiled, right? You're going to have a strong body, right? More than just a strong body, you're going to have a strong family, right? Sure, you want?
Counselor Slacky, if I may, I have a precept on that topic.
Go on.
Slacky, Officer Urad, can you grab 1 Corinthians chapter 5, starting at verse 1 for me, Baba Kashaw?
1 Corinthians chapter 1 and verse. Say it again.
Slacky, chapter 5 and verse 1. Right? Because what Officer Zabadi, Slacky, so what you were saying is just so heavy, and that like we got to understand that we're going to come back. And when we come back, we're judged for the things that we do. Right? Like like you were bringing out earlier, for the good, for the bad. And I just thought this verse is so heavy because it's read in every Christian church, but your pastor would never tell the people that he's teaching to do what Paul was telling us.
Right.
Right? So, like Afsarad, if you could read that when you got it.
So like the first Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 1.
Come. Or it's Kana.
First Corinthians, First Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 1. It reads, "It is reported commonly that there is fornication among you, and such fornication as is not so much as named among the Gentiles, that one should have his father's wife."
Right. So what Paul was saying here is that somebody wrote a letter to Paul from the church of Corinth, letting him know that there was fornication in the church. You understand? That there were people inside the church, or somebody inside the church, that was doing something that they weren't supposed to be doing. They were sinning against the Most High. And Paul told the church what they need to do. If you could jump down to verse 5, Baba Kasha.
Second verse 5. To deliver such as one unto Satan for the destruction of the flesh, that the spirit may be saved in the day of the Lord Jesus.
Right. And what Paul was telling these brothers is that when somebody is doing something against the Most High, deliver his soul unto Satan. Right? Deliver his flesh unto Satan, meaning the thing that he's doing, let him go on and do it. You understand? He's going around sleeping with his father's wife. This isn't how we're supposed to carry ourselves as a church. When we're sinning and doing things to trample on the blood of Christ, you understand? Trample on the things that he did for us and the opportunity that he gave for us to be right with the Most High. Paul told them, give him over to Satan so that his soul can be saved. So that when this man returns, when this man's soul lives again, when he rises again, hopefully that punishment will get him to repent and turn back to the Most High. You understand? Paul wanted to save this man's soul, and he understood that some people got to learn the hard way. Some people got to go through all the punishments of the Most High in order to turn back to him. You understand? And this is a part of regeneration. This is a part of reincarnation. Right? Like we even saw in the Old Testament, the tribe of Benjamin. The tribe of Benjamin was nearly wiped out for homosexuality. You understand? And when you look at the tribe of Benjamin today, you look at Jamaicans today, what are they doing? They're hanging up those Batiman on the cross, right? They're killing them under those bridges, right? Like they don't tolerate that out in Jamaica. They don't tolerate that in the tribe of Benjamin. You understand? Because they were wiped out. They were destroyed. Their flesh was destroyed. And that punishment saved their soul. You understand? Salaki, that's all on the ground, sir.
No sweat. That's definitely a heavy precept, right? And because we're on, like, that's definitely heavy because, listen, what Officer Shariwan was saying is heavy. Like, you're not going to listen, but let the devil get you. Listen, you're going to listen eventually. When you come back, hopefully now your spirit is, I will not eat that again. Listen, I died from high blood pressure. I will not eat that again. Like those nasty shrimps. I was on Man, I pray for Montreal because the brothers and sisters, good night. I was on a there's a group where Officer RDR he posted in this group about shrimp, how you're not supposed to eat shrimp because it's considered sea roaches. Everybody acted like, listen, I don't give a damn if it's sea roaches, you're eating the shrimp, right? Eventually, those same people who don't give a damn about the sea roaches, they're gonna pass from that high blood pressure. They're gonna have to start sticking themselves with needles because of high blood pressure and all types of diseases, right? They're gonna wish in that time that they listened, that they said, "You're con out one con to Officer 1000 RDR." They eventually they're gonna start beating down Officer RDR's door and saying, "Teach us more," right? Like, and if they have to pass away for them to get that message, when they come back, they're gonna be like, "Nah, I don't eat shrimp. It just smells nasty," right? Their spirit's gonna turn to, "Nah, nah, I don't really mess with shrimp. I just can't mess with it." They're not even gonna know why, right? But that's exactly what Officer Chardonnay was breaking down. Hey, Shalom, Trooper Barack Allah, what's going on? You cool?
Yeah, Bashir Shabbat.
So,
Salakia. Officer, Trooper, since you're here, Trooper, bring us to Hebrews 11 and 17, Baruch Hashem.
Khan.
Right. Whenever you got it, you can read and stop at the commas, Baruch Hashem.
Khan. This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 11, verse 17. By faith, Abraham, when he was tried.
Right. Abraham was tried, right? This is talking about when he was told to sacrifice his son Isaac, right? This was something that it was a faith test. It was to see, is this man faithful, right? And because he did this, he was given a covenant for doing this, right? Keep reading.
Offered up Isaac, and
Read.
he that had received the promises offered
Right.
up his only
Listen.
begotten,
Right. Read that one more time from and he that received the promises.
and he that had received the promises offered up his
Right.
only begotten son.
Con. Isaac was how the promises was gonna work. Abraham got these promises, and it was gonna flow through Isaac, right? Isaac was Abraham's only begotten son. Salakia. Isaac was Abraham's only begotten son. Now he had Ishmael, but Ishmael was not counted as a seed. Isaac was Abraham's only begotten son, and he was offered up. Read verse 18.
Verse 18, of whom it was said, that in Isaac shall thy seed be called.
Right. Again, Isaac is who the seed would be called in, right? From Isaac, you get the 12 tribes through Jacob. Keep reading.
Verse 19, accounting that God was able to raise him up,
Right. Keep reading.
even from the dead.
Okay, hold that right there, right? Because this is like the important parts of what we're reading right now that pertain to our topic, right? The topic is regeneration, right? Now, Abraham was going to kill Isaac and slay him as a sacrifice, right? Because the Lord told him to do it. And Abraham was so faithful, he said, "Okay, I'll kill my only begotten son," right? Read again. Read verse 19 again.
Verse Hebrews chapter 11, verse 19, accounting that God was able to raise him up, even from the dead.
Okay, Salakia. Why does it say that God was able to raise up Isaac even from the dead?
Salaki, sir. Salaki, sir. Can you repeat the question? Salaki.
I'm asking the trooper first.
Go.
Trooper Bracket Allah, right? So it says that God was able to raise him up even from the dead. What does that mean?
Salakia, I'm not sure. I don't want.
Khan, no sweat, no sweat. Officer Uriah.
Salaki, sir. If I could, when Abraham offered Isaac his son upon the altar, right?
Right.
I guess I believe the Most High, he was trying him out, see how he's trying him out, see if he's trying Abraham out, see if his faith was good, was good works, right? And
Right.
to see if his faith was good, and by basically he was telling him to trust in the Most High that he's gonna bring his son was gonna, even though he would offer his son for in the altar, that the Most High will bring him back. We will reincarnate or regenerate his son.
Right. That's definitely what it's about, right? The most give Officer Uriah have. Right. So Abraham was told to offer Isaac up, right? Abraham was going to do it because he knew that the Most High could rise Isaac back up, even from the dead, right? Now, Salakia, Officer Salakia, Trooper Baraki Allah, can continue reading, Babu Kashan?
Khan. From whence also he received them in a figure. Verse
Right.
20.
Salakia, 1 second. Officer Shariwan, get me Luke verse 1. Luke chapter 1, verse 1. Is that what I'm looking for?
Okay.
No, Salakia. I'm looking for the lineage of Christ.
Salakia, that's in Luke 1 and 1 and Matthew 1 and 1. Luke's, I think, was a little more detailed.
Khan, I'm looking for Luke 1 and 1. When we're talking about Adam. Am I reading Luke 1 and 1 right now? Salakia. Right, I'm looking for the son of, even when it goes back to Adam. Or is that the one in Matthew?
Salakia, other one. It's in Luke chapter 3. Starting around verse 23.
Luke 3:23. Let me catch up with you right quick.
And Adam is in verse 38 there.
You said Adam is 38?
Come on, so Luke 3 and 38.
Slovakia. I was just looking to see if that's it. Slovakia, you can hold off on that for a second, right? Officer Trooper Baraki Allah, read what you got one more time.
This is Hebrews chapter 19. Accounting that God was able to raise him up even from the dead, from whence also he received them in a figure.
Right. Okay, so what does it mean that he, even as he received them as a figure?
Salakia, other one. Does it mean even as you receive him as a sacrifice?
No, Salakia, I'll reword the question, right? Okay, so even when it says from whence also he received them in a figure, right? So earlier we read that he was able to raise him up even from the dead, from whence he also received them in a figure. Can I'm asking you to break that down for me, Baba Kashan. Like try your best to break that down to what you think it means.
So like even as you receive, even if you as if he was dead physically.
Right, because okay, so I'll break it down for you, right? Isaac was dead physically before, right? Because before he was Isaac, he was Adam, right? And that was a precept I was looking for. Salakia. See if we can find it. But for now, we'll go with Officer Shaywan. What was the precept you were just holding?
Oh, Slack, I think you might be speaking of in John, but the precept I had was Luke
Uh,
3:38.
that's the one I'm looking for. The one in
So,
John, right? Where
Slack,
it
so
goes. That's what I
Slack,
was looking for.
the precept where it says Christ is Melchizedek and Isaac and Adam.
Right, that's what I was looking for. The lineage of Isaac.
That's it.
Salakia. Let's get to that one. You can read that one when you have it, Officer Shaywan. Right. But basically, so what you're finding out is Isaac, before he was Isaac, he was Adam. Right? That's how Abraham was able to receive him from the dead. Right? Meaning that the Lord brought Adam back into this life. Right. So you've heard that like there, Salakia, the precept, Christ was the first Adam and the last Adam.
Right.
Right? And that's basically what this is talking about, right? Because Isaac was Adam, right? Like Christ, I think Christ came back to the earth 5 different times. He came as Salakia. Was it? We're gonna find that. We're gonna find it right now. You can read it whenever you got it off, Officer Shariwan. One second. While we wait for Officer Shariwan to get that, let me get. Do we do Officer? You're right. Get me Proverbs 104 and 29.
Okay. The book of Proverbs. So you said 1 and 24?
Khan.
Book of Proverbs, chapter 1, verse 24. And it reads, because I have called.
Salakia. Verse Proverbs 104, verse 29.
Proverbs, so 1 and 4?
104, verse 29.
104, 104. Salak. It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 14, verse 29. He that is, no, that's not it. Slacker, so you were cutting out. Really, there's a reverb.
I'm looking for Proverbs 104, verse 29.
1 and 4?
104.
Oh, 100. Proverbs 104.
Verse 29.
Slacker, sir. There's a 31 Proverbs, right? You mean Psalms.
Salakia, you're right. I was thinking Proverbs. Give me Psalms 104. My bad. Bubble shit. Salakia. Officer Shaywan, have you been able to find that verse?
So it's like I'm having trouble finding it.
No sweat.
Okay, so I got it. The book of Psalms, 104 and verse 29. It reads, Thou hidest thy face, they are troubled. Thou takest away their breath. They die and return to their dust.
Read.
Verse 30. Thou sendest forth thy spirit. They are created, and thou renewest the face of the earth.
Right. Officer Iran, break that down for us, Bubba Kasha.
Come, sir. Basically, what this scripture is saying, that the Most High is the one that takes away your life. You die, and you return back to the ground. You get buried. You know what I mean? You go back to the time to feed the worms. And then in verse 30, the Most High sends forth his spirit, our spirit. You are created, and then the Most High renews the face of the earth, and thou renewest the face of the earth. Like it. 1 second, sir. Basically, this scripture is talking about regeneration, the creating and sending your body to return back to the ground, but your spirit is renewed again.
Right. That's exactly what that's talking about. Right. You're going to Salakia. Let's go back to the verse. Right. You're gonna die and return back to that dust. Right. The Most High is gonna send forth your spirit, and you're gonna be created again. Right. And you're gonna renew the face of the earth because children have to be born. Right? Babies have to definitely be born, right? Your body, the body of yourself as an old man is gonna die. It's gonna disappear, right? Then you're gonna come back again as a new person, as a new body. You're not going to remember any of those things, right? Salakia. 1 second. I'm gonna try and look for something right quick.
Sir.
Officer Shariwan, can you drop the silent links?
Okay, sir.
One second. I'm just looking for something right quick. See if they wanted to bring up this precept.
So,
Right. Okay, Officer, you're right. Read that one more time.
Sir. Psalms 104 and verse 29. Thou hidest thy face, they are troubled. Thou takest away their breath, they die, and return to their dust. Verse 30. Thou sendest forth thy spirit, they are created, and thou renewest the face of the earth.
Right. Like you're going to die and then you're going to come back and renew the face of the earth. Right. That's what the regeneration is, right? Like the Christian church has you believe in that if you don't love your oppressors, you're gonna go to hell. Right? The Christian church has you believe in that if you don't love the people who hate you, you're gonna go to hell. Right? The Lord said, Officer Urad, read that one more time.
Okay. Psalms 104 and verse 29. Thou hidest thy face, they are troubled. Thou takest away their breath, they die, and return to their dust. Sir.
Right. So you're gonna return back to the dust, back to that low state, right? Meaning your body doesn't do anything. It's not gonna know how to till the earth. It's not gonna know what to do, right? Because your body's just gonna be in a sleep mode. It's gonna be going back to the dust, meaning the worms are going to eat you, right? Your spirit's gonna go up to the Most High. You're gonna get judged, which what we read earlier. Then he's gonna send you back, right? He's gonna send you back down to the earth in a new body, in a new form, a new figure, right? Abraham knew that he could sacrifice his son because listen, I'm gonna get him back. The Most High is telling me to do it. I'm gonna do it because I'm gonna get him back in a figure, right? That figure was a new body. Slovakia.
Awesome.
I'm still looking for that precept to see if I can find it. Slovakia. You know what? I'm gonna look for that precept and I'll have it posted in the next class, right? So again, regeneration is in the Bible, right? You don't have to listen. Fear the Lord and not keeping His commandments, and the body that He'll give you in the next life, right? You want a strong body in this life, right? So with that said, I'm Officer 500 Zabaja. With me, I had Officer 50 Shariwan, Officer 50 Urad, Trooper Baraki Allah, Trooper Satham was with us a little earlier. This is the I.S.U.P.K. Canada Saturday Night Scripture Breakdown. We just went over regeneration and how it's in the Bible, right? All these cultures stole from the knowledge of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American, right? They stole from us knowing what we have. Right? With that said, I'm going to pass the class over to Officer 50 Shariwan. Akim, clap it up. Salaki, give Officer Shariwan a second. He'll be with us in a second. Right. Again, General YAHANNA, the generals, the heavy hitters are live right now on Black Watch on YouTube. Right. Don't forget to check out blackwatch.news. Right. That's the new website. And also check out ISUPKCanada.com. Salakia, ISUPK Canada on Facebook and Instagram, and also ISUPK.com. Right. Shalom.
Let's clap it up for Officer 500 Zabadia. We're going to give the I.S.U.P.K. security announcements. We are the I.S.U.P.K. Start out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. They need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Find it in Numbers 18, verse 21, and Malachi chapter 3, verses 8 to 10. Ma'ashra means tenth in the Hebrew. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Give to the Treasury Department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations. Salakia, we have the Feast of the Feast of Tabernacles, which is on the 15th day of the 7th month for 8 days, starting on Monday the 20th to Tuesday the 28th of September. You can find this in the book of Leviticus chapter 23, verses 34 to verse 44. With that said, we're going to give a courtesy salute to the brothers and one courtesy salute to the sisters. Men of Israel, Imajim. Stand in the Hebrew. Going to give a courtesy salute to the brothers. One courtesy salute to the brothers, men of Israel. Imajim Shabbat. Imajim. Barak. Yahweh Shem Yahshua Barakatham. Yad Yamatah. We're going to give a courtesy salute to the sisters. Sar Akwathian, which means turn and face the sisters. Men of Israel, Imajim Shabbat, Imajim, Barak, Yahweh Shamar, Alafam, Hashem Yahshua, Yad Yamatah, which means hands down, class dismissed.